Judges 8, verse 1. Then the men of Ephraim, which was a southern tribe of Israel, said to Gideon, "What is this you have done to us? Not to call us when you went to fight against Midian?" And they accused him fiercely. Underline accused him fiercely in your Bible. And Gideon said to them, "What have I done now in comparison with you? Is not the gleaning of the grapes of Ephraim better than the grape harvest of Abiezer? God," circle God, "God has given them into your hands, the princes of Midian, Oreb and Zeb." So those are two princes, two kings that were caught last week. Underline the sentence, "What have I been able to do in comparison with you?" Then their anger against him subsided, circle subsided, when he said this. And Gideon came to the Jordan River and crossed over it, he and the 300 men who were with him, exhausted yet pursuing. Underline exhausted yet pursuing. So he said to the men of Succoth, which was a city in eastern Israel, "Please give loaves of bread to the people who follow me, for they are exhausted, and I am pursuing after Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian." So he's chasing after two other kings that haven't been caught yet. And the officials of the city of Succoth said, "Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hand, that we should give bread to your army?" So Gideon said, "Well then, when the Lord," circle Lord, "when the Lord has given Zebah and Zalmunna into my hand, I will flail your flesh with thorns of the wilderness and with briars." All right. And from there he went up to Penuel, which was another city close to the other city of Succoth, and he spoke to them in the same way. And the men of Penuel said to him, as the men of Succoth had answered. And he said to the men of Penuel, "When I come again in peace," circle peace, "I will break down this tower." Now Zebah and Zalmunna were in Karkor with their army of about 15,000 men, all who were left of the army of the people of the east, for there had fallen 120,000 men who drew the sword. And Gideon went up by the way of the tent dwellers east of Nobah and Jegobah, and attacked the army, for the army felt secure. And Zebah and Zalmunna fled, and he pursued them and captured the two kings of Midian, Zebah and Zalmunna, and he threw the whole other army into a panic. Then Gideon, the son of Joash, returned from the battle by the ascent of Heres, and he captured a young man of the city of Succoth. And he questioned him, and he wrote down for him the officials and elders of Succoth, 77 men. And he came to the men of Succoth and said, "Behold, Zalmunna and Zebah, about which you taunted me, saying, 'Are the hands of Zebah and Zalmunna already in your hand, that we should give bread to your men who are exhausted?' And he took the elders of the city, and he took thorns from the wilderness and briars, and with them taught the men of Succoth a lesson," kind of like your own kids. "And he broke down the tower of Penuel as well, and killed the men of the city. And he said to Zebah and Zalmunna, 'Where are the men you killed at Tabor?' And they answered, 'As you are, so were they. Every one of them resembled the son of a king.' And he said, 'They were my brothers, the sons of my mother. As the Lord lives, if you had saved them alive, I would not kill you.' So he said to Jether, his firstborn, 'Rise and kill them.' But the young man did not draw his sword, for he was afraid, because he was still a young man. Then Zebah and Zalmunna said, 'Rise yourself and fall upon us. For as the man is, so is his strength.' And Gideon arose and killed Zebah and Zalmunna, and he took the crescent ornaments that were on the necks of their camels." Woohoo! I don't know if there's a more testosterone-filled chapter of the Bible than that. There was not a whole bunch of relational conversation going on. There's not a bunch of female things happening in that chapter. It's pretty much men yelling at each other and killing one another. But here's what we're going to pull out of it. Ready? Listen to me. I'm going to pull out of this chapter a life-transforming truth. Listen to what I'm saying, and listen to me online. Ready? Many of us don't know why we exist. We live in chaos and anxiety because we allow Twitter and Instagram and Facebook to fill our minds with what should be important to us. And because we allow other people to tell us what's important, we live in anxiety and I don't know why this is important to them, and I don't know why it should be important to me, but I feel like maybe it should, and I live kind of in emotional chaos. I'm going to lay something out for you. Listen to me. We are going to find out what your mission in life is today. Let me ask you a question. I want you to think about this question in your own mind. Ready? What is your mission? Right now, think about it. What is your mission? And you know the sad truth is, many of us can't even answer that question. We don't even know why we live. It's no wonder that many people live in anxiety and confusion and chaos. And when things happen in their life, they go, I think I just would rather be dead. You know why people think that? It's because they don't know how to move past their emotional state. I'm going to lay something out for you. If you practice this, you will literally have a different life. Our culture lives in the emotion of the moment. Anybody ever notice that? Everybody's screaming at you. MSNBC, CNN, Fox News, everybody screams at you and go, here's what's important. Hey, here's what's important. This thing over here. Look at this. They stormed the Capitol. Hey, look at our new president. Hey, they stole the election. Hey, your mom likes Kool-Aid. Whatever it is. Hey, this is important. And we kind of go, be a Republican. Be a Democrat. Be a tree-hugging independent. Come on, let's go. This is the reason you should live. Right here. Look. And we kind of go, ready? You know the reason we do that? It's because you have zero idea what your mission in life is. Emotion will deceive you. Mission will guide you. Write that down on your face. Because our culture lives on emotion, but Scripture lives in mission. My emotions will deceive me, but if I know my mission, it guides me through all of my emotional ups and downs. I don't go, when I get really depressed and go, why do I bother? My mission brings me back to sanity. When I get super high and go, this is the best day ever, I realize that it's not about stuff, it's about mission. Literally, this is going to change your life. Because what I want you to do is go, what is my mission? And after that, write down what that is. If you're a follower of Jesus, it should be to bring glory to God. And we're going to look at how that happens in our lives. How can I bring glory to God as my mission in life? Number one is this. If you got your notes, pull them out. They should be in your bulletin. Pull out your notes if you're watching online. If you're watching on Facebook, at the top of the comment section on Facebook is a link. You can click on that link and my notes will pop up. And number one is this. Relatives become offended. You ever been offended? You ever offended any of your relatives? Have you ever been offended by any of your relatives? We just came through the holidays. We are full of offense right now, right? Somebody said, hey, your house is ugly. Dude, who decorated this place? Were they blind or just they didn't know what they were doing? Or, this is my house, man. Is this food? Did you actually make this food? Or was this food you scraped off the bottom of a truck or something? Where? God, this is all we can afford. What are you talking about? Ready? Nobody offends you more, usually, than people that are closest to you. Could be your spouse, could be people you work with at work, could be people that are near you just in your community. Nobody usually offends us deeper than those that are closest to us. And guess what happens in this story? Gideon is going to run into some of his relatives called the Ephraimites. The tribe of Ephraim was an Israelite tribe that was related to Gideon, who was from a different tribe. So it's kind of like distant relatives, but they live near each other. Gideon has been called to the battle. A bunch of the kings are escaping south, and they run into the tribe of Ephraim that wasn't called to the original battle. And the Ephraimites are enraged that Gideon didn't call them to the battle, that they just get the leftovers of what's going on. So they become offended. And let's see how Gideon handles it, because it'll transform how you think about how you should deal with being offended. Gideon was called by God to defeat the massive Midianite army that had invaded their land. He devised a plan with 300 men that God chose to surround the army at night in a valley and cause panic with pitchers, torches, and horns. So we looked at that last week. The army of Gideon surrounded this huge army of about 150,000 killers in the valley and had a pitcher that they broke on the ground, lit a torch, and blew a horn. And in the pitch blackness, the army's waking up going, we're being surrounded. We're surrounded by 1 million people. And they start to kill each other in the dark. So Gideon destroys this army and it starts to fracture without even raising a sword. But now he's chasing other kings that are trying to escape. When part of the army started to flee south, Gideon called the tribe of the Ephraimites to help, and they captured 2 of the Midianite leaders. Here's our first principle, ready? It's good to be on mission with the like-minded. You ever been on mission with people that aren't on your mission? You ever try to do stuff with people that don't think like you do? So right now, we're in football season. It's one of the best times of football season because it's the playoffs, right? And teams that have made it this far have rallied around the fact, what's our mission as a team? Well, our mission as a team is let's win the Super Bowl. So everybody is singularly focused. Every position on the football team is singularly focused on what's our mission? Let's win the Super Bowl. Other teams didn't make it, like the Cowboys and the Raiders and the Chargers and the Vikings, but that's beside the point. The reality is some teams made it because they were well organized and they had a mission and they were going after it. And everybody's rowing the same way to get to the mission. You ever been with people that really aren't interested in your mission? You're like, hey, come with me on this mission. And they go, no. People that are rowing the opposite way of you at work, you know where it's hard? Is in a marriage. Let me speak to you young singles or even old crusty singles. Doesn't matter if you're single. Ready? You're watching me online. You're watching me outside. Ready? Let me lay something down for you. Let me give you a principle to help you. Young ladies, young men, when you're going to choose a spouse, you have to choose somebody that's on mission with you. And if you're a believer in Jesus, ready? You choose somebody that's on mission to serve Jesus with you. If you're a young lady, you have to choose a man that's going to lead your home towards Jesus. If you're a young man, you're going to choose a young lady, make sure you're choosing a woman that's going to influence you to serve God. Because there's no greater influence in a man's life than his wife. To which my wife says amen. Every head has a neck. And the neck helps the head to know where to go. Nobody influences a man like his wife. So let me help you to understand. If you know your mission, you can choose somebody to come on mission with you. If you have no idea what your mission is, you're just going to randomly choose some guy or some woman, and you kind of go, I hope it works out. That's the worst way to figure out how to live your life, which is, how do I feel today? The best way is, what's my mission? Who's going to join me? Because when everybody's on mission together, mom, dad, kids, the house lives in peace and marriages stay together. Why? Because we're rowing the same way. We're going the same direction. And that's what Gideon does here. He asked the Ephraimites, his relatives, to help him, and they capture 2 of the kings because they're on mission with him to kick out the Midianites. But look what happens. The Ephraimites get offended because this is a man thing. So Gideon goes to war with 300 guys that God chose. Gideon didn't even choose them. It was God. And now the Ephraimites find out later, they get the leftovers of the war. Hey, Ephraimites, you're not too strong. Could you just grab these guys as they run by you? And the Ephraimites are like, dude, why didn't you call us to the original battle? What, you think we can't fight, son? And these men get offended that their masculinity has been offended. Oh, we can't fight? We're not strong enough to go to the battle. You gotta, give us the leftovers. Like these little weasels running by us. You just ask us to grab them, but you don't invite us to the real battle. So you got men who are totally offended at one another. Watch this. You know how Gideon could have handled that? Hey, you wanna know what? It was God who chose his people. So why don't you just bug off? You know why I didn't call you? Because you are weak, little weasel. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever think about you shoot a bow? It doesn't even make it past the driveway. You take out your sword and, I can't even pick up my sword. You know why? Because you're a little wimp. You ever think about that? You ever think about that, Ephraimites? You ever think about that God didn't call you because you can't do it? Gideon could have got up in their grill and absolutely blew apart relatives for generations. And I'm gonna lay out a principle for you that literally could save your marriage. It'll save your job. It'll save you from getting fired. It'll save your life. And it's what Gideon does right here. Does it masterfully. Could speak offensively, speaks peace and humility and encouragement. Look at this. Gideon, though it was God who chose the original 300 men, Gideon soothed the perceived disrespect with words of appreciation and humility. And here's our principle. Most of personal peace or chaos originates from the mouth. Woo-hoo! Ready? Most of your problems come from your mouth or your thumbs. And guess what? Texting is just an extension of your mouth. You want to know something interesting? We created emojis to help us discern what kind of text we're getting. Have you ever gotten a text and it has like nothing, no emoji with it? It's like, hey loser, what's up? You're like, oh man, am I a loser? Like, is this person trying to offend me? Like, should I be offended? And all of a sudden, you're about ready to text like, well, you're a loser too. Oh, get out of my life. But all of a sudden, like a ha-ha emoji pops up, and you're like, oh, my thumbs almost burned you alive, son. Ready? Texting is just an extension of your mouth. It's things you would say if you were with that person. So ready? Here's the principle. You will live or die by the fruit of your mouth. You will live or die by the fruit of your mouth. You want your marriage to be awesome? I would love my marriage to be awesome. Then why in the world don't you speak light and life and truth into your marriage? Why in the world, when every time you get into a fight with your spouse, it's always cutting down and caustic words and death? You speak the death of your marriage out of your mouth. Why, if you're a wife, would you tear down your husband and you speak words that tear him to shreds in front of your kids or in front of other people? You disrespect your husband, but yet somehow you expect your marriage to be better. Like you speak words of death, but you want life. Why, as a husband, when you're angry at your wife, do you speak disrespectful, tearing down things that destroy your wife's heart and her trust in you? And yet you expect your wife to be responsive and loving and like you expect your marriage to be good, but you're literally speaking death into the life of your marriage. Like you will eat the fruit of the words of your mouth. And if what you're eating you don't like, oftentimes it comes from things you've said into the relationships in your life. Look at this. Proverbs 12:18. Woohoo, we're gonna go on a journey of your mouth. We're gonna get mouthful up in here. Everybody ready? Here we go. There is one whose rash words are like sword thrusts, but the tongue of the wise brings healing. Woohoo! I'm gonna save your job and your marriage right now. Everybody get ready. Or if you're single, all the single ladies, listen. All the single men, listen. I'm gonna save your future marriage right now. One of the ways you protect and keep your marriage solid is the things you speak. Because you can have sword thrusts like words. Words go right into the soul. It's like when you say these kind of words. You know what? I hate you. I absolutely hate you. And you know what? My dad told me not to marry you, and I married you, and I regret that day every day. I wish had never met you. You are garbage. And I hope you know that. I'll think of you as garbage literally the rest of my life. You know, you as a wife, you're probably the worst wife I could have ever imagined marrying. I can't stand you. I hate you. Like, you make my life worse, not better. You know, the crazy thing is, I just made all that up. And some of you guys are like, I'm super depressed right now. Like, that's the power of words. I just made that up out of nowhere. I wasn't even speaking to somebody, but you hear those words, you go, dude, I just want to like drink or something. Like, I'm so, like, that's the power of words. Some words are so piercing, they go right into your soul. There are words that our parents spoke to us or other people spoke to us, it still rings in our mind. But guess what? Words of encouragement, words of humility, words of life bring good. Hey, you know what? I just want to tell you, wife, you're the best. I can't imagine my life without you. Like, you are literally God's gift to me. Like, when I think of the best parts of my life, I think of you. Like, you're awesome. Husband, you're just a stud. What can I say? You're just a hulking man of God. And any woman would just be excited out of their mind to have a man of God like you in their life. I just want to thank you for being a stable, loving, masculine man of God. For our daughters, for our sons, thank you. I love you and appreciate you. I mean, literally, if you could just say those couple sentences to each other, your whole marriage might be different. But instead, we live in a culture of, I'm going to tear you down and I'm still going to expect the best. Which is insane. Look at Proverbs 15:1. Proverbs 15:1. A soft answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. You still with me? And guess what? That's the culture we live in. We live in a culture that just wants to stir anger. We just want to stir chaos. Hey, look what happened at the Capitol. Hey, look what happened to all the Democrats and the Republicans and the independents. And look at all this chaos. And we just go, what do I do? Ready? You realize that a soft answer brings life. A harsh, angry answer just creates continual chaos. Because when you don't control your emotions control you. And when your emotions go up and down, you have no stability. And you destroy people around you. So come to stable and bless those around you. And you know how you bless people the most is what you say. Because oftentimes what you say leads what you do. Look at Proverbs 18:21. I couldn't choose a more applicable verse. Everybody write this verse down. Take a marker, put it on your face. If you could literally act this one proverb out, your life will literally be different. Your marriage will be different. Your parenting will be different. Your job will be different. People will love you. People will appreciate you. People will want you in their life. If you don't practice this, you will always be on the verge of divorce. You will have parenting dysfunction. People will not want you at their job. People will fire you. People will unfriend you and block you because they can't stand the influence that you are in their life. And the majority of it comes from what we say, and in our culture, what we text, just as an extension of our mouth. Look at this beautiful proverb. Proverbs 18:21. Death and life are in the power of what? The tongue. Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it, in other words, those who love what the tongue can do, will eat its fruit. You will eat the fruit of your tongue. You will eat the fruit of your speech. If your speech is caustic and angry and self-serving, people will not want to be with you. If your speech is loving and concerning and appreciative, I love you, and I appreciate you. It's so good to have you here at this job or in my home. You need to tell your kids when you're having a good moment, I appreciate you. I'm glad God made you. I said that to my son the other day, and he about fell out. Oh, Caleb, because he's 20. You know, when you're 20, especially in our culture right now, it's just like you're going to school on Zoom, and everything's just chaos. And so I just wanted to speak some truth into my son's life. I go, Caleb, I just want you to know I love you. And as your dad, I'm proud of you, and I appreciate you. And I know it's tough to be my son sometimes. It's tough to be a PK, a pastor's kid, who thousands of people look at us and our family and you. It can be hard. But I want you to know your dad loves you and cares about you. And I want the best for you. God's doing great things in your life, and I want to facilitate you becoming a young man of God. Like literally, many of us have never heard just those 3 sentences from our own dad. And how many times that would have changed the way we viewed life, ourselves, everything, if mom or dad would have just sat down and said, I'm glad God made you. I'm glad God put you in our family. I love you. Like the fruit of your words, you will eat them. So make those words good, and you will eat good in your life. How are we feeling about that? Come on, we got 2 people still awake. Number 1, ready? Relatives become offended. You want to stop the offense and chaos in your life? Speak right, text right. I just want to take a quick moment and text you, let you know I care about you. I appreciate you. You're awesome. OSM. And send them an emoji of a dancing guy, so happy. Or whatever. Let people know you care. So when people are offended, don't fight fire with fire, fight fire with love. Leads us to number 2. Strangers become unhelpful. Relatives become offended. Use your words right. Strangers become unhelpful. You ever felt like people were unhelpful? You needed some help from somebody. You're on the side of the road. Hey, somebody's driving by. Oh, hey. And they wave at you. See, hopefully somebody helps you. You kind of go, man, is somebody going to help me out or not? And that's what Gideon wants. He comes to these 2 towns of Succoth, and he asks these 2 towns, and Penuel, he asks the 2 towns, hey, can you help me? My guys are literally on the verge of death. We just need some bread, and we can continue our journey. We're going to kick the people out that are actually around you. And they offend Gideon by saying, they're speaking to them from over the wall. Oh, hey, have you captured the kings yet? Because if you haven't captured them, you're not getting any bread. And then Gideon goes, wait till I come back, son, because I'm literally going to whoop your butt. Strangers become unhelpful. Pursuing the army southeast, Gideon crosses the Jordan River. He then asks the leaders of the town of Succoth for food for his exhausted warriors. Seeing that Gideon has not secured a victory yet, and being fearful of Midianite retaliation for helping him, the leaders reject Gideon's request. So I want you to see this. This is the Google map I've showed you this the last few weeks, of Gideon's battle. Midianites have come up from the south. They have gone into Israel, which is basically on the other side of the Jordan River, which splits your picture in half. They have settled in the Jezreel Valley. Gideon lives in Ophrah. And so the whole battle that took place last week took place in the Jezreel Valley. Now, the army's fleeing south, trying to get back to where they came from. And this is a picture, another map picture of the area. So this is the Jezreel Valley. Gideon surrounds the army. They start to flee south off this picture. And here's the topography of the area. I want you to see this. So the battle takes place up there in that red. The Ephraimites are south. So they're down south at the end of the south part of this picture. And the topography is very steep as you follow that yellow line, which is they're chasing after the kings. And they go down into the Jordan River. Jordan River is the lowest river on earth. And they're climbing back up out of this deep valley, and they're exhausted. And they come to Succoth right there, as you can see at that right angle of the yellow. And they're asking Succoth and Penuel, hey man, can you please just help us out? We are literally exhausted from trying to finish our mission, which is kicking these people out of our valley. They don't help them. They continue to chase them anyway, and they finally catch up with them at Krakor, which is down there at the end of the map. So now they're on their way back. Here it is, ready? You don't know who's on your mission until there's a cost to the mission. Woo! You don't know who's on your team until there's a cost to being on the team. You don't know who's actually with you until it costs them to be with you. So they asked the leaders of those 2 cities, hey, come join us. All you have to do is just give us bread. You don't even have to come fight with us. Just help us. Like Gideon assumed, hey, you're on mission with us, right? And they're like, no, we're not even going to give you bread, son. And Gideon's like, wow, I thought you were on mission with me. You don't know who's on mission with you until it costs people something. When it starts to cost people, then they go, hey, I'm with you. Let's go climb that hill together. But you're going to have many people in your life that are not on mission with you. So here's my encouragement to you. Write yourself out a life mission. It should be one sentence. I exist to, what's the rest of your sentence? Literally write down, I exist to, and then whatever the rest of that sentence is your life mission. Some of us, we exist to make a lot of money. We exist to be super popular. We exist to put a tweet out and have the whole world be transformed. Like, we want to be powerful or popular or whatever. But Christians, the end of that sentence should be something like, I exist to glorify God. I exist to bring glory to God through my life. And the way I do that is to love my husband or love my wife or love my kids or do well at my job. So whether you flip burgers or you're a president of a multinational company, it doesn't matter what you do it for the glory of God. Do it the best you can, not the worst you can. Why? Because why do I exist? I exist for the glory of God. So when everybody in my culture is screaming at me to become a Republican or a Democrat or an independent, a tree-hugging acorn eater, whatever it is, I go, politics is important, but it's not as important as why I live, which is I exist to glorify God. I don't get caught up in the chaos of my culture and live by emotion. I live by my calling from God. I live by my mission statement. So here it is, ready? What is your mission? Here's 3 questions you have to answer. Literally write this down. What is my mission? What is my mission? I exist to what? Answer that question. You should be able to answer that question. You should be able to answer why you live. If you're a Christian, it should be something to do with the glory of God. So what is my mission? Number 2, how is my mission accomplished? How is your mission accomplished? I exist to live for the glory of God. Awesome. How does that happen? Well, I want to be a good husband. I want to be a good parent. I want to be a good employee, whatever it is. You flesh out your mission in life. That makes me a better husband. It makes my wife a better wife. It makes my son a better son. It makes me a better dad. It makes me work harder at my job, which happens to be this church. Why? Because I live on mission. I don't live by my emotions. I live on mission, which stabilizes my emotions. And then lastly, why is the mission valuable? What is the mission? How is the mission accomplished? What do I do? And how valuable is my mission? Ready? That last answer is the most important answer. How valuable is my mission? Let me give an example. There are churches who have not been open for almost a whole calendar year. They have not physically been together, even though they have land to be able to do outdoor services. Like, I'm not even talking about like doing something illegal. I'm just saying, do at least what our government allows you to do. Meet outside, spread out, do whatever. Literally, churches have gone, we are not going to open. Even when the government lets them be open. And so how can they, someday when they reopen their doors, look at their own people in the face and go, hey, this is really, our church's mission important. How in the world could I, as a pastor, if I haven't been open for a year, someday when I open my doors, look at my people in the face and go, hey, we're essential. Guess what? If you've been closed for a year, you're not essential, son. Why? Because mission has to be important. And a church that's on mission for Jesus has to do everything it can to reach the people of God and bring people to God. So let me give you an example. Ready? You're like, well, what's the mission of the Orchard? I got an answer. Here's our vision. Our vision is our umbrella. This is the big picture. Our vision is this. The vision of the Orchard is to join God in bringing the gospel to the 250,000 people in our area and reaching people around the world by growing deep through the Great Commandment. The Great Commandments, love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and your neighbor as yourself. So we love people around our valley and even around the world, and branching out through the Great Commission. The Great Commission is go and make disciples. So that's our vision. We want to literally reach our valley. There's a 250,000 people in our valley that don't know Jesus, that are literally going to hell without the gospel. So we exist as a church, not because of COVID. We don't run scared from COVID or being sick or whatever. We do what we can, even in difficulty. So while we have to morph things when difficulty comes, we don't stop our mission. We don't go, we'll be back in a year. No, our mission is we got to go get people. So it might look different when COVID hits or when problems come, but even though it looks different, it doesn't stop. So here's our mission. We say it every week. Pastor Robert just said it when he had the cup up here. What's our mission statement? We answer this question that I just gave you. Engage people with love. That's evangelism. We engage people with love. We equip people with truth. That's discipleship. I'm doing that right now. I'm giving you the truth of God, helping you to try to grow in your life as a man or woman of God. And we do that through Bible studies. And empower people with what? What do we do? Empower people with what? With faith. That's the ministry side. Like, get your hands dirty. Go to work. God's gifted you with something. Do it. And God will bless your life. You literally can't do that stuff online. Some of it you can. Like if you're watching me online right now and you have COVID or you're sick or whatever, you have to stay home because of immune issues. Awesome. I am praising God we have the internet. I'm praising God we have this tool to love on people and reach people when they're in difficulty. But here I want to lay something out for you. Listen to me. The church is not the internet. You know what the church is? The church is the gathered people of God. So while that's a good tool, the internet's a great tool, it's not the church. And when you can be here, you should be here. When you're healthy enough to be here and all this stuff, like when you can return, get here. Don't just phone it in and go, I'll just watch Pastor Jim online. That's not the church. YouTube is not the church. What's the church? Is us gathered here using our gifts to help each other grow to be more like Jesus. That's our mission. So get ready, here it is. Disruption doesn't stop the mission. Woo, there it is. I distilled it down. Disruption does not stop the mission. In your marriage, you're gonna have hard times. Your wife's gonna say something to you that's gonna make you wanna leave your home. Your husband's gonna say something to you that you go, this marriage is over. Your parents are gonna say something to you as a kid, you're gonna be offended and go, I'm gonna leave and go live with my boyfriend or whatever. There's gonna be times when relationally things get hard. Ready? But if your mission is to glorify God, you know you have to respect your parents when you live under their roof. If your mission is, I want to glorify God, then you be respectful as a wife and not destroy your husband. If your mission is to glorify God, you love your wife and make sure she has security, not insecurity in your life. So she lives flourishing, not always on the defensive. That's how you flesh it out. Because disruption is going to happen, but that doesn't mean you stop mission. Churches are going to face difficulty. That doesn't mean they lock their doors. Shame on the churches that are not open at all when they could be. Shame on them, because that's not mission. Jesus already gave us a mission, which is go and make disciples. You can't do that by having a YouTube feed. You do that by gathering and people growing together. Lastly, number 3, Gideon becomes victorious. Number 1, relatives become offended. Use your words for good and health. Build people up, don't tear them down with your mouth or your thumbs. Number 2, strangers become unhelpful. There's gonna be people that are not on mission with you, and you need to make sure you stay on mission even when things get hard. Lastly, Gideon becomes victorious. Trying to escape south, the kings of Midian stop at Karkor with their army. Knowing that killing the kings is mission critical to ending the invading disruption, Gideon, though near exhaustion and death, captures them. And here's a principle. Blessings are found in results, not excuses. Woohoo! Hey, let me dad you up for a second. Ready? Let me dad you up, because that's a dad sentence. It's kind of like dad jokes or whatever. Like this is like a dad sentence, because some of us grew up without dads, or we don't know who our dad is or whatever, and we're like, I need wisdom in my life. Like I need somebody to speak wisdom. Let me dad you up for a second. Ready? If I could leave you with one sentence besides control your mouth and it'll bless your life, is that we live in a culture of excuses where we make an excuse instead of making results. We live in a culture where our excuses are just as good as if we would have done it. Hey, why didn't you get that done? Oh, the thing happened. I broke a nail and it super hurt. So I had to take a couple days off to repair my nail. Dude, you couldn't go take the trash out because you broke your nail? Yeah, you have to grab it. Hurts my little fingy. We live in a culture where it's like, I have an excuse, and we expect people to go, oh, of course you couldn't do it because you had a tough time. Nope. You know where blessings are found? Blessings are found when you fight through it and you win at the end, which means take the stinking trash out and your house won't stink. There's a glorious result from doing something. You know when you get paid is when you go to work and you get a paycheck because you did some work. You don't get the paycheck here going, an excuse will be just as good enough to get that paycheck. Nope, because the boss goes, you got to work, son. Then you get a paycheck, and then you have money. And then you can take your pastor to hot dog on a stick at the mall. And you can pay $28 for a hot dog that's dipped in batter and lemonade. It's like, why do I have money? To bless God and bless others, but you get that money from working hard. Same thing. Blessings are found in results. Make results, not excuses. If there's something I could leave you with that will bless your life, other than control your mouth, is that work hard and God will bless you. God does not bless laziness. God doesn't bless excuses. Everybody has an excuse. Hey, my dad treated me bad when I was younger. These things happened to me. I can't go on. I got to drink to forget the bad times, blah, blah. Listen, everybody has an excuse. God does not bless excuses. God blesses results. So get help if you need help, but don't just wallow back in your excuses and go, here's the reason I can't move on. No, everybody can move on because you have the power of God. You have Jesus in you. Get Jesus, get counseling and some help, and move forward. Not regress back into darkness and your weakness. Always move forward. Where's the blessing of God? It exists in your future, son, so go get it. That was intense. Everybody all right? Okay, good. On his return, Gideon punishes the cities and brings the kings to trial for murdering his brothers. With their confession that they killed his brothers, Gideon tells his young son to kill them. Being scared, the kings mock him, and Gideon kills them and takes their crescent ornaments. So I leave you with this. Ready? Here's the end of this whole story. Gideon uses his words to soothe relatives and not destroy relationships. People that are not with him on mission, he makes sure he finishes the mission even when there's disruption. He doesn't let other people keep him off his mission. And then the last thing is he's victorious. He brings these two kings to trial. I want to show you this last piece. This picture right here at the end, these kings are like this. Zeba and Zalmunna, they've murdered Gideon's brothers. And now once they've confessed it, Gideon, as an act of war and an act of retribution against his family, is going to put these two kings to death. And he asks his about 8, 9, 10-year-old son to kill him. Because it was an offense to have a youth or a woman kill you in battle. And so the last offense Gideon's going to do to these men is he's going to have his 8-year-old son pull out a sword. But because he's so young, he's scared. And you know what the men do? The two kings, they offend Gideon. That's what that phrase is. Rise yourself and fall upon us, for as the man is, so is his strength. You know what they're saying there? They're saying, looks like your son's a weenie. Why don't you do it yourself? So right at the very end, these kings are not caring that they had killed all those men. And so Gideon himself puts these men to death for the death of all of his brothers as an execution. And I want to make this point to you. Ready? Gideon gets victory because he finished the mission. This mission was pretty brutal. But in your life, what's your mission? You want to keep your marriage together? Love your spouse. Respect your parents. Work hard at your job and you'll keep your job. Be the person people can count on, not the people that know you as a flake. Make results, not excuses, and God will bless your life.